Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tech Down Over. Today, we're going to talk about the Panasonic G9 a little bit more, maybe some other stuff. I'm joined today by Harold Muliati. I am Rick Zanotti, and not joining us today is Geoff Blanchard, who is taking care of his little girl dog. Here we go. We are back, and today we're going to talk a little bit more, or actually show you some stuff from the Panasonic G9. I was in England last week going to a trade show, and we were helping out a charity called Learn Appeal. This was the Learning Technologies 2019 show in London, England. And Learn Appeal is a charity that is helping underprivileged areas in the third world, as well as the first world, if you will. Places where educations are hard to come by and skills and trades even harder. So this program is there to make sure that people can get education in trades. It's all about e-learning and a private internet that's safe and protected from all the garbage on the internet. So it's a great program right now. We got to meet some great people. The pilot program has been done in Kenya, and Eric Kimori, who is the representative for them there, was a wonderful guy, and he showed how the project is working, how it's helping, and how people in the villages are learning a whole set of new skills, which is keeping them there, keeping them with their families, which is important when you want a good family structure. Anyway, we had a little good time, and we took some pictures of our trip going there as well as at the convention center. So, Harold, you want to start showing some of those pics we got?
Well, I mean, speaking of Eric, let's show a picture. This is Eric. That's Eric Kimori. And that's him at the conference. And
yeah, that is the Excel Conference Center and Expo. It is the largest conference center in all of Europe, which surprised us. I almost thought Germany would probably have a bigger one, but no, this is the one. It's slightly on the outskirts of London, and a beautiful conference center, really nice area. There's a big river that runs behind it. Very pretty. I
think we have a picture of that river here. You can see there's
from our hotel room.
Yeah, that's from the hotel room. And how far were you from the actual center?
It's less than half a block crossing across. There was a second floor crossover right into the convention center. So that's really convenient. And by the way, we are in sunny Southern California here, right? Wrong. It's been in the 30s in the morning. That's colder than London was every day we were there. 7 days. We're colder. What's wrong with that picture?
And we actually just upgraded to the newer version of vMix 22, which came out of beta recently.
Yeah.
And it's got this feature. It allows us to pan and zoom around.
In almost any input. So we can get real tight into on the images that we took.
So now you can see these boats that are out there on the river.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, there were almost no boats on that river. That used to be part of the major London waterway with cargo, but the river's too narrow, and the boats are much, much too big now. So it's interesting. I think eventually they'll probably make a nice marina out of it or some other nice thing. It's too cold right now to really be in boats, but beautiful little river. It was actually quite pretty. We were at the Aloft Hotel, which is part of the Marriott chain. Behind us, about a block and a half, two away, was the Doubletree, which is Hilton. And on the other side of the convention center, which probably ran about 5 blocks, it runs the span of two tube or light rail trains. And so you get on one end, and then you get off at the other end of the convention center. It's a good 5-block walk, I think, but very nice. Lots of food places there, though the ones we had weren't very good, but we won't talk about that. It was fun.
And let's see. Here's a shot of kind of the exhibition area floor, and you can see some of the
huge floor. There were, I think it was 13,500 participants in the expo floor. And believe me, sometimes it felt like they were there all at the same time. Very crowded. Now, if you look at this is taken with the G9. It's a micro Four Thirds camera. It has pretty good low light. This was not that bright in the convention center. I would say it was pretty much on the dark side. They had spotlighting in places. The booths, or as they call them, stands, have lighting. But it wasn't a very bright place, and the camera did pretty well. You were looking at, I wasn't really looking at the values. I was just looking at the screen. But I think it was somewhere between probably 3 and 8,000 ISO. And it did a good job. The camera really held it together.
Yeah, I think the photos that you had more of the overall exhibition center were closer to 8,000. A lot of the photos in the Learn Appeal booth were a lot lower, maybe a few hundred in the ISO, because we had some pretty, there were some pretty bright
some spotlights
in there.
From the sky coming at us.
I forgot to grab the ones of the spotlights
that's
themselves.
Okay. They were right above us, about 40 feet above and 40 feet away. And they were bright. Every time people would show them the booth, they would come on. So there must have been some motion sensor in those lights, because we're going from talking to somebody to, oh, it's bright. So it was fun.
Yeah, here you can see Leslie's being lit up by one of the spotlights right now. Leslie Price, who is actually our co-host from eLearn Chat, yep. If you've watched that show also. And she's being lit up, and Eric is not being lit up by the spotlight, so he's a lot harder to see.
Right. Well, also, she is also in charge of Learn Appeal. She's the chief cook and bottle washer. Gets a lot of work done. She's quite a force of nature. But again, there wasn't a lot of light. I used no flash. Strictly the exposure triangle is all we were doing. Shutter we kept pretty much the same. Exposure was wide open all the time. And we just kept changing ISO depending on the conditions.
Yeah, and they're coming out pretty good. I mean, you're getting a pretty good dynamic range here. Not seeing stuff. You're not seeing darker areas just totally clipped out or anything like that.
Yeah, and all of these pictures were taken the professional 12 to 60 millimeter Panasonic Leica lens. That's not the kit lens. This is the Pro lens, which is about $950. A very good lens. It has a nice wide range. I might do this is 24 to 120 in full frame equivalent. So it's a pretty nice short zoom, if you will. But it took pretty far, and it got pretty nice details up close.
Let's see. I think here's one where you can see you can see a lot of detail on this one. And yeah, you can see that the hair over here. It's you got pretty sharp detail.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, handheld. Kind of wish I had a monopod, but all handheld.
Well, I mean, it is a camera that has very good stabilization, just as is, because it's got the.
I think it's got 5 stops of image stabilization with the body.
It's got 5-axis IBIS.
Yeah, and the lens was also stabilized.
Yeah, so basically that means the sensor can move any which way it needs to in order to compensate for camera shake, which is nice. And this one was, I don't know if this was in the, where was this restaurant? Was that in the convention center?
That was in the airport, I think.
Maybe in the airport, yeah, it looks more like an airport.
I believe that was the airport. It was called the All World Restaurant.
That's the one, yes.
By the way, they had the best hamburgers and sweet potato fries I think I've ever had. It was great for an airport restaurant. Hard to believe. And the service was great. Really enjoyed it. They were very, very nice and fast. We ordered our food. Within 5 minutes, it was there. We're like, really? The place was jammed. It kind of reminded me of Disney. They had the loud music blaring, Disney-like music, and it was sort of fun. And you got the big windows and very, very nice airport. That was in Heathrow, Terminal 5. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest airport in the UK, right?
Oh, yeah. Heathrow. It might be one of the biggest in Europe, period.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a large airport. And Terminal 5 itself is as large as many normal airports. They have a full train system in there that take you to all the different gates. So it's pretty cool.
And so you kind of the trip ended up spanning London pretty much, but you didn't get to see that much of London proper, right?
No, not really. And I didn't take my camera when we went out to Leslie's house because I didn't feel like lugging it through the subways, and I had no idea what the subways were like. the tube as they call it. So I kept to a lighter thing. I took a couple of pictures with my cell phone, but they weren't that good. They were okay. I noticed one thing. I have a Samsung Galaxy Note 9, and I noticed it's always, I haven't really played with it that much, but it's always slightly overexposed. It's really bright. And I think that's just the way they come fresh out of factory.
I think they're trying to compensate for the fact that most people will probably be taking photos indoors where there's not enough light.
Yep. So they blast it up, and as a result, it's a little hazy.
Yeah, they kind of blast up the exposure and the colors they tend to do.
Yep.
I've noticed that Samsung tends to do this, especially like the colors will tend to be, if you're taking pictures of like a properly lighted scene, then you'll get these way more vivid than light colors.
Yeah, well, they also saturate a lot.
Yep.
The Samsung image is famous for saturation, over-saturation, which is why it looks so vivid. Then you put it on a regular like monitor, and it's like, ooh, that looks crappy, because the phone is so bright and so saturated that you kind of think everything's going to look like that, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Did we have any more pictures, or was that it?
We pretty much went through all of the ones that I grabbed.
Okay, we had a lot. We had like 200 pictures. We had some of LAX. I don't think those made it in, right?
Most of those were sort of the shapes in the ceiling. So
yes,
here's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. At LAX in the international terminal, those lights basically were just kind of giving form to the arches in the terminal. They had some really cool lighting in the terminal. And again, just handheld. I was pretty far from those arches and not too blurry-ish.
No, they came out clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it's about 11-hour flight to Heathrow from LAX direct. We went on one of the Airbus 380s. It's a flying soccer or football field. It is huge. We were on floor 2. And, of course, when you're on the plane, you don't realize there's another floor underneath you. It was enormous, somewhat comfortable. I wouldn't say it was comfortable. The chairs were not the best, not the best seats I've been on. This is a British Airways A380, Airbus 380. Seats 500 people. I can seat more. I think some of the Asian versions of it seat about 700 something. That's a lot of people on one plane. But what I tell you what wasn't good is after about 11 hours, your butt's not happy. It's a hard seat. It's just not a pleasant seat to sit on for that many hours. And we were in what they called Rat Class Premium. Actually, it's called Premium Coach. Rat Class Premium. They give you cheese in this version. The other one, you don't get cheese.
There was also the fact, though, that they were trying to make you into jerky, right?
Oh, my gosh. They gave us a 4-ounce bottle of water during dinner, and you can get us off. So we got a 5-ounce can of Coke. That was it. So 9 ounces of liquid, 11 and a half hour flight, I think it was. We asked 3 times for water, liquid, anything, nothing. They would go, okay, and they'd never bring it. So British Airways doesn't believe in hydrating people, at least on an overnight flight. On the way back to LA, it was good. They actually hydrated us quite a bit, but we were smart on this way back. We had pretty large water bottles with us, so that we wouldn't dehydrate. And I think we drank about 1.5 of those, and we were fine. But on the way there, we had to literally take that 4-ounce piece of junk bottle that was water to the bathroom and fill it up with, hopefully, potable tap water, which we took out of the bathroom tap. And it was okay. We didn't die. We didn't have any illness afterwards. But we were really thirsty. And they just didn't hydrate us. And they tend to serve foods which make you thirstier because it's slightly salty. So as a result, it was torture.
Well, I mean, and coming from the U.S., it's hard to bring liquids onto planes.
Well, you can once you go past security, but we didn't know that would happen.
Right, yeah.
We figured, okay, it's premium coach. It's kind of like business class light. Normally we would travel business, but it was so expensive. Even coach was $1,500 round trip. That's a lot of, coach premium, $1,500 round trip. Regular coach was $500, but it's 3, 4, and 3 configuration. That's tight. You're really tight in there. I'm 6'2" and 225 pounds going, no, I don't want to do that. So we were in 2, 3, and 2. It wasn't too bad. We were in the 2s. But it was that when the people in front of you recline, you want to choke them. And you can, because you can reach right across the seat to choke them. There's no room when they recline. I hit my head like 3 times on the seat in front of us because anytime you move forward, it's like, oh, jeez. Because you can't reach anything underneath your seat when they're reclined. You have to go under it, which means you have to get up and under. Little things. It is not fun to travel in rack class light or cheese, whatever. But we survived. If you've never flown to London from LA, jet lag's a bear. It was 8 hours of difference, and we did a red eye, and we didn't get to the airport there till 3:20, almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then it took 5 more hours to get to the room, 4.5 more hours to get to the room. It took 2.5 hours in a car to get to our hotel. It was so busy on a Friday night. Smart me. Never book a flight arriving on a Sunday or a Friday, late afternoon or night. Too much traffic. London's worse than LA with traffic because the roads are very narrow.
Well, and speaking of the jet lag, you were saying before, maybe it's something you get used to, but we had Ronaldo Lawrence on eLearn Chat, and he's been going kind of back and forth for 30 years or something?
Yeah, on and off, yeah.
He still hasn't gotten used to it. He said every time it kills him, makes him, he takes a whole week just to get back to normal.
Yeah, jet lag's a bear. For photographers out there, if you travel a lot, you know what we're talking about, because when you go in certain time zones and you're going either a red eye or just not getting enough sleep ahead of time, it is a bear to get your clock 8 hours ahead because you're already off by, quite a few hours. Yeah, it was not fun. I actually slept almost 13 hours the next day. I couldn't believe it. I don't sleep that long usually. I'm a 7-hour sleeper for the most part. 13, and my wife slept about 12. We were beat. And it took about 3 days to finally kind of come back to normal. And then you're there for 3 more days and you come home and you're back to jet lagged. Fun. Yeah, it's really fun. Anyway, they should just knock us out, put us in cargo, and we're there. That was good. What happened? Where am I? So it was a fun trip, though. So what else is happening, Harold?
So yeah, we've got that the new version of vMix. It's got a lot of cool stuff. It's got that virtual pan tilt zoom, and then
Can you do that on your shot right now?
Yeah. Let me go over to my shot and let's see. Well, let's see. You can zoom in on my face here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
And now my face is taking up most of your screen, so
Yeah.
sorry if I've scared everyone away, but yeah. The other thing they added that is cool is they added some ability to, they being Martin from vMix, basically. I believe he does most of their coding. They added the ability to copy some attributes from inputs to other inputs.
Oh, nice.
You can't quite just copy inputs outright. You can't just duplicate them, but you can, for example, you can copy triggers and you can copy multi-view properties, which can be very useful.
By the way, if anybody's asking, because we always get little notes or something, what mics were you using? Harold is on the DPA earset mic. It's a really nice mic, about $650. Really, really good mic, very clean. I am on the venerable old Sennheiser MKH 416, the shotgun, which is this one.
We go over to your shot. There we go.
And the 416 actually is about 50 years old in design, and it is still an incredible mic. Most people who buy it want another one. We have 2. A lot of people have 2. It's a great mic for just about anything, and a lot of fun to use, and very good reproduction of vocal quality or sound. We really like this one. So anyway, so vMix is always moving ahead. 22 is their latest release. It is a paid upgrade. We actually bought the previous one, so we didn't have to buy this one. But very nice. Nice job, it seems. And it went in seamlessly, right, Harold? No real pain.
The only thing is our PreSonus audio box had to be kind of the inputs had to be kind of refreshed, the audio inputs, but now after that was fine.
Yeah, and that's pretty small, and audio is always tricky.
Yeah, it's always tricky.
So that's pretty good.
It's better than Windows, nuking your audio compatibility, which has happened to us before.
About a year and a half ago, Windows updated something, and all of our PreSonus audio drivers, we use a lot of PreSonus gear, died. I mean, just killed them. And there was no fix. It took a while. Now they're working again, but it was painful. 4 years ago, Windows did the same thing. They did some massive upgrade, and we were down for a month. And we finally said, screw you, Windows 10. We went back to 8.1 for a little bit, for about 6 months, until Windows 10 stabilized. Microsoft suffers from, let's throw a million programmers at a problem. It's really hard to do systems integration well when you've got that many programmers. They all trounce all over each other, and they did. So Microsoft still has a problem. There's way too many updates. They're not fixing things quickly. They're making a lot, and half the time they're fixing what they broke.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what their QA pipeline is like for these updates, because there was that one that was, I think, mid last year where it broke people's my documents and my pictures folders. Yeah, that was a pretty bad one, because if you had your
if you can move your My Documents to another drive,
if you moved it to another drive, it just deleted all the stuff in there.
Yeah, which is funny because they allow you to move it to another drive, but then when they upgrade you, they go, "No other drive for you. We kill you now," and they did.
It just makes me wonder, didn't they test that? Because that's a pretty common thing with
I think they tested on a Mac, Harold.
Yeah.
We won't go there.
I mean, because nowadays you often have your C drive just on maybe like an M2 or something that's smaller, so you would put your documents and pictures on another drive. So a lot of people lost stuff.
And a lot of people don't do that because they don't understand that the more you put on your C drive or your Macintosh drive or whatever drive you're using as your main drive is your main drive. And when you fill up, it crashes. Don't use your main drive for anything other than programs and operating system, and nothing on your desktop. Get rid of crap on your desktop. That goes on your C drive or your Macintosh drive. That's bad. Believe me, I know a lot of guys and girls who have blown their systems by having everything on their main drives, and then they die. I see a lot of photographers and videographers putting everything on their Mac drives or their C drives, and of course, these are big files. Your 256 or 512 gigabyte SSD is now full. Goodbye. It's nice knowing you. Oh, by the way, Mac nor Windows took a backup of what you were doing. Shh. You're dead. It's what they do.
Yep.
Well, anyway, do we have anything else to talk about today? No, I don't think we really planned anything.
I think that about covers it. And Geoff will be back next week, I think.
Yep, with a healthy little girl puppy.
Yeah.
She got neutered, poor thing. Good for her. He doesn't want more little puppies, that's for sure. So anyway, we will see you next week on Tech Time. We have a guest next week, so we'll let you know who that is next week. Because I'm not sure. I know we have a guest, I'm just not sure who it is.
Actually, I can check right now.
Wait, Harold's checking right now.
We have... Oh, it is James Matthews.
James Matthews. Yeah. He'll be on next week.
James Matthews will be on next week.
That'll be fun meeting him.
Yeah.
All right, so we will see you next week on Tech Down Over. Have a good one. Thanks, Harold.
All right, thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you, as will Geoff and James.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Oh!